When Persona 5 The Phantom X was first announced for the Chinese market, I was very curious since it seemed to have a very interesting story for a mobile game. Of course, while there are multiple ways to play it, you can only do so in either Korean or Chinese, neither of which are languages I speak. I was ready to tackle playing through in Japanese if I had to, like I did with Persona 5 Phantom Strikers before the official English release. Not long after though, ATLUS and Perfect World Games jointly announced that the Japanese and English versions were going to be released simultaneously on June 25th, 2025. To say I was shocked is an understatement due to the timing of it all. Thanks to ATLUS and Perfect World Games, Final Weapon got the chance to try out Persona 5 The Phantom X on PC a little early before its official release. We will be publishing a full review soon on Final Weapon, but for now, here are my initial thoughts. The story in Persona 5 The Phantom X begins with what has become quite iconic for the Persona series at this point, the opening scene of the original Persona 5 game. However, it doesn't take long until that scene looks and plays out a bit differently, with a mysterious assassin trying to defeat Joker. Soon after, it turns out it was all but a fleeting dream by the actual protagonist of the story. The protagonist's name in P5X is Nagisa Kamishiro, a second-year student at Kokatsu Academy who suddenly has the impression that the world is off somehow. People have been very apathetic as of late, and as he's coming back from school, he is about to be run over by a delivery bike. However, just before the collision, he ends up pressing the Metaverse app that has suddenly found its way into his phone, similarly to Persona 5's own protagonist. Right off the bat, I'm really liking how the story is presented, and that's just from the initial 30 minutes. Persona 5 The Phantom X has chosen to go on an entirely original route, instead of regurgitating the original Persona 5 story. Indeed, you'll find many new animated scenes and originally designed characters, along with a plot that was written by the P Studio folks for this game specifically. I did notice that some artistic liberties have been taken, but for now, my main question is, just how often will the developers update the story? Over the last year, fans have been diligent in providing ways to experience the story through unofficial translations, and the fact that we're getting the English release at the same time as Japan feels nothing short of a miracle. The release makes me wonder how exactly we will catch up with the original Chinese server, but I suppose only time will tell. When it comes to the combat in P5X, you'll find that it is almost entirely unchanged from the original game, although there are a few notable changes here and there. Firstly, character skills are all unique in some way, and even familiar skills such as Dia, Koha, and others have been slightly tweaked, such as Dia now having a small equation attached to it. Besides that, you still have the usual elemental matchups, just like in the original series. A unique aspect of P5X has to be the highlight system. As you exploit enemies' weaknesses and manage to deal damage to them, a gauge on the bottom right will fill up. Once it's maxed out, you can select one character to deal a special attack that is unique to them to deal a massive amount of damage, which is kind of like an ultimate attack if you want to compare it. Personally, the combat system wasn't too hard to grasp at first, but I can only imagine just how complex it may become later on. As you may have deduced from the pre-registration campaign and its promised free polls, P5X does in fact use a gacha system as a means of obtaining characters. You use this system to sign new contracts with the help of Miro, the Velvet Room assistant. The gacha system will summon a cognitive known as a phantom idol, or kaidoru, as she says in Japanese. These kaidoru can tag along with you, and they each have their own personas that can be used, alongside a weapon that is exclusive to them only. As is typical of a Persona protagonist, Nagisa has the power of the wild card and can wield up to 3 personas at a given time in this case. Because the game is still relatively new in the West, it is not impossible to think that the so dreaded power creep might come to show its ugly head. But with what little time I had with the game, I didn't have any particular problems with bosses or enemies feeling too hard. At least not yet. With the little time I had with Persona 5 The Phantom X, I had a really great time. Of course, only time will tell how Perfect World games will drive the game forward in all regions, considering just how volatile gacha games are these days. There are definitely a lot of systems and a very rich story to explore. I can say that much. I'll definitely be actively playing P5X, so stay tuned for our full review of the game, which will be coming very soon. ATLUS and Perfect World Games provided a PC copy of Persona 5 The Phantom X for review purposes.